All right, boys and girls, I know I'm super late to this video, but I want to make a quick Vikings schedule prediction video, and let's get right into this. We're going to go over wins and losses and see where the Minnesota Vikings end up. And this is going to be a realistic prediction, or try to be realistic, so here we go. All right, starting off on the road at the New York Giants. Now the Giants, they're not, projected to be any good this year. So, they got some good players on both sides of the ball. But I do think the Vikings are going to go in there and get a W over the Giants. Going into week 2 in the season opener, or I guess the home opener. We already had the season opener, but the home opener against a tough opponent, the San Francisco 49ers. It's a noon game, and before I get any farther into this is going to be a lot of noon games this year. Hopefully they flex it into some more primetime games closer to the end of the season if the Vikings are still relevant. But opening it up against the 49ers at home, yeah, we beat them last year at home, but this year I think that the 49ers get the win in our house. Week 3 versus Houston. This is a really good game that I would love to go to as well. 2 back-to-back home games, but unfortunately, I see the Vikings dropping this one as well. September 29th at the Green Bay Packers. This one, just because it's on the road, I'm also going to say it's an L, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. I think they lose by, a one-score game, whether that's 3 or 6 or 7 points. But, you ask me closer to the season, I probably will have some different answers against some of these opponents. But as of right now, in the end of May, I had the Vikings drop into the Packers the first time around. After 3 straight losses by the Vikings will go across the pond and face the New York Jets. And some of you might know that the Vikings are undefeated in London all time, basically. So why not continue to add to that and say that the Vikings are going to still be undefeated and beat the New York Jets? Week 6, we had the bye, and then week 7, we played the Detroit Lions. The Lions are coming off the NFC North, being NFC North champions. That's very weird to say. Obviously, I had a tough time saying that because, that it hasn't ever happened. They've won the NFC Central, just not the NFC North. But unfortunately, I think the Lions continue their role and restore the roar, whatever their slogan is. And then, I think they beat the Vikings. Going to the other side of the country, we are facing the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday Night Football. I think this will be a really fun game to either watch or go to as well. I'm planning on going to this one, but I think the Vikings will beat the Rams. I think Kevin O'Connell will get the win over his former team and get another win on the season. Week 9, we come back home and we play the Indianapolis Colts. Now, could this be a trap game? No, this is not a trap game. The Minnesota Vikings are going to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Week 10 at the Jacksonville Jaguars at noon. My gut tells me that J.J. McCarthy may or may not be starting at this time, and I'm leaning towards maybe starting. And I think he's going to find his groove. Yeah, it's on the road in Jacksonville, but I think the Vikings take the W here. Now, the second game in this 3-game away stretch that we have, we go at the Tennessee Titans. I think we drop one to the Tennessee Titans, unfortunately. Now, I don't think Tennessee has the greatest roster in the world, but I think that's one that we just simply drop. Now, our final game out of our 3 away game stretch, we go to Chicago, and we're going to face Caleb Williams for the first time. That will be super interesting. This could be a J.J. McCarthy versus Caleb Williams game here. But I think the Vikings pull this one out. Now, instead of a away game stretch, now we have a 3-game home stretch. This will be very vital for the Minnesota Vikings. Starting off the first day of December, we're playing the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to be a top 3 pick this year. So I think the Vikings do beat the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the one game that everybody's been circling this year is the Atlanta Falcons are coming back to US Bank Stadium. And the only reason why this is a huge game is because our former quarterback 1 is now playing for the Atlanta Falcons. Former number 8, now 18, coming back to his old stomping grounds. Will the Vikings win this game? I could see this game going either way, but unfortunately I have the Vikings losing this game. But like I said before, ask me again when the week one rolls around and we finally get a feel of who's all on the roster and we get a full roster idea. This could be a possibility of a change. So yeah, I think the Vikings drop against the Atlanta Falcons. Week 15, Monday night against the Chicago Bears. We are playing them 2 weeks later at home. Caleb Williams returning. I guess he's not returning. He's just playing at US Bank Stadium for the first time. And just like Justin Fields' first time with the Bears against the Vikings, I think the Bears take a loss. I think the Vikings sweep the Bears this year. Week 16, going on the road to Seattle in December. It's going to be a tough game. It might be cold and rainy. And I don't think the Seahawks personally are that great of a team. I don't know if they're really one piece away from being a true contender. So I think that the Minnesota Vikings, with their much improved defense, especially this late in the year, depending on health, I think the Vikings take this game. Last home game of the Vikings season versus the Green Bay Packers. I don't think it's going to be anything like we had last year on New Year's Eve, where the Vikings got blown out. I think it'll be the other way around, except the blowout. I do think that the Vikings will beat the Packers this time around. And then the last game of the season, like we did last year, we go on the road to Detroit. Like I said before, the Lions are reigning NFC North champions. Again, weird to say, but unfortunately, as a realist, I think the Vikings do drop another game to the Detroit Lions, and they get swept, unfortunately. Now with my final record, I have the Vikings going 10-7, which honestly I feel like is their ceiling, unfortunately, this year. Whether Sam Darnold starts or JJ McCarthy, but we'll just have to see how the season goes. I think this defense will be much improved. And like I said, we'll just have to see how Sam Darnold is, how JJ McCarthy is. But I do think at 10-7, whether you go 10-7, 9-8, whatever it is, I do think that the Vikings will hover around the playoffs. I don't know right now if they do make it or not, but we'll just have to see. So 10-7 it is. Skol Vikes.